Creating an AI song playlist that tells a story. This time we're going to be adding images and animation to the MP3 music files, ending up with a file that not only has the music on it, but also has some animated images helping to tell the story. Get ready and some coffee because the rockin' ain't stopping once we start building beats with the AI app. Quick recap of the process thus far in order to achieve our goal of making a playlist that has some accompanying imagery to help tell a story in chronological order about the first chapter of the Iliad. We started out by asking a AI text software such as a ChatGPT to give us an outline of the first chapter of the Iliad, just a summary that we can then plug into as a seed into our AI music file, which we are using Suno in order to do. We also, as we did that, kept an eye on the Word document file that's going to give us that seed information we used to make the music. And then once the music was created in our AI software, we copied the title that was generated from it. And then we used that information to then make imagery. So then we went over here to Midjourney. You can use any other AI generator. We could use the seed or we can use the text of the song to try to tell some simple story or at least give some imagery that is related to the song that we have. And then we had our tools. We downloaded the MP3 files from our music track because we weren't satisfied with just a playlist in music format. We want the imagery in there. So we downloaded this information in an MP3 format. And then we had it numbered so that I can easily pull it into our editing software, which we are using Camtasia, but the process would be similar with other editing software as well. So now we have the files in there in order of the playlist that we want. We have the same ordering over here in our Word document, which I can then use as my description if I'm putting it into a YouTube. We then added the numbers for which location or the starting point of each of the songs, which will give us a link that we can be clicking on if we add that to YouTube. And we also added a solid split between each of the songs, which will make it a little bit easier possibly to export the songs as well as possibly adding images. This time we're going to be adding the images. So we have these images. I personally made 4 images per song. And I want them to be in this order because sometimes those images have to be in order. For example, this one down here I thought was funny. We had 2 songs where Hera, which is the wife of Zeus, the king of the gods, gets mad, right? Because Zeus was helping out against the Greeks because Achilles was whining, and she's mad, and then Zeus is like, "Oh, dude, this isn't good." And then she's mad, and then Zeus is like, "Oh man, this really isn't good." And then there's another song, she's still mad, and Zeus is like, "Man, this is I can't take it." And then she's still mad. And then Zeus is just, it's all over. He's out. So that, I thought that was a funny, see, it tells a story. See? So you have to have it in order. Now, sometimes when I pull this in, if I just select the 4 songs and I pull it in, it's kind of out of order sometimes. So I think it's actually easier to pull them in one at a time. Let me show you what I mean. So once again, if I have only one screen in my Camtasia, I just need to put those 4 images in place. And then I'm going to go back in there and resize the images to roughly be equal within each of these spaces, 4 images per space. And then I'm going to go in and add some animation, altering the animation from a zoom in to a zoom out, which you might want to wait around for. I know that there could be a long process to get there, but the zooming in and zooming out, I think some tips on that is that you don't have to zoom in and stop at the size of the image. I can zoom all the way into Zeus's pained face over here, right? I'm going to zoom all the way into his eyes that are looking like, oh my goodness, it's all over. I want to die, right? Because the pixelation won't get too pixelated if you have a quality AI generator, and that will give you more animation because that allows the animation to go further than if I just made it a little bit larger. I'll show you that when we get there. for now, I'm going to detach. I'm going to right click over here and detach the time thing again. So at the top, I'll put this up top, but I'm just working down here. And now if I'm on one screen, I'm watching TV at the same time. I'm not now because I'm talking to you, because I can't do like that many things at one time. But if I wasn't talking to you, then I could totally like watch TV and do this. And so then I'm going to say, I only need 4 images at a time. I'm going to put it small enough so there's 4 images at a time. Okay. And then, so now I'll just pull these in. So I like pulling them in one at a time. So I'm just going to go, let's just pull them in here so they're in rough order. I'm not trying to space them out perfectly. I just don't want to pull them in all 4 at the same time, because again, sometimes when I do it at the same time, they put them out of order. And then it's like, it's a headache to figure it out because I'm watching TV and stuff. So I don't want to have to like think. I just want to pull them in, because this should be like what I call brain dead work, the work that you can do at the end of the night, like watching TV and whatnot. So, but that means that if I do them one at a time, I don't really have to think about it because they're already in order. And as long as I did my work correctly before, then this should be a really easy process. I can listen to my music while I'm doing this or something. And it's like, no worries. No worries. And not just because I'm not worrying and there should be something to worry about, but no worries because there's actually nothing to worry about. Oh, wait a sec. Something's wrong. I have a worry here. It goes, this one should be 7. Something went out of order. Oh, see? This is what happens. So, this one, let's go back. So I numbered this number 5. And this is on number 5. So number 5 was good. And then I went to number 6. Was this one. See if I get this right now. Number 6 was this one. See, it's still not totally brain dead work. You have to think a little bit. And then 7 is this one. Okay. And then 8 is this one. Okay. And then 9. Boom. Oh, wait. That's out of the range. Has to be over the line. Over the line! Mark it a 0. You went over the line. That's from The Big Lebowski. It's a bowling movie. And the guy put his toe over the line, but he didn't think he put his toe over the line. He's like, no, I didn't put my toe over the line. There are rules. There are rules here. You can't put your toe over the line and still call it a strike. Okay. So then we're on 12. This is a short song right here. Squeezed in a short song on that one. They ripped me off. They charged me a credit for that one. Gave me like a half-long song. Whatever. I'll let it go. And then, so here's the angry Hera one. This one cracks. Look at Hera's mad. He's like, oh, dude. Hera's pissed. Ah. Okay. 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 All right. So then we can go back and I can enlarge them now. So I'm just going to go in here and make this a little larger. And I'll just kind of make it so they're roughly equal in the space. Roughly equal in the space. Something like that. You know. Doesn't have to be perfect. Something like that. So it's roughly equal. Then I'll go over to this one. Get the cursor out of the way. Roughly equal within the space. Roughly equal. And then we'll go to the next one. Roughly equal in the space. And again, I should be good enough at this where I can do this while watching YouTube videos or something. of politics, of the tariff wars and whatnot. But I think he receded the tariff wars right now. So now it's not really the tariff war, which was good because everything else seemed like everything else was going pretty good. I don't know what happened with the tariff war thing. Like, well, why? That doesn't seem like a good idea. But everything else seemed like it was rolling pretty well. So I don't know what that was. But I think we're back to only tariffs on like China or something because they've been mean to us, and that seems they steal our stuff, man. I feel like. So I'm not really upset with that. Okay. That's not what I'm supposed to be talking about here. Let's just focus on the job at hand. The job at hand at click. Alright. And then we'll just make this a little larger. Mooey B to the N. B to the N. How you being? I'm mooey being. Why would one settle for just being when you can mooey being? You could mooey being. Just being, man. I'm mooey being. Okay. We're almost there. Somewhat of a tedious process. But you want to wait for the next one because that's what the animation happens. So that is muy importante. This one's a little off. That one needs to be fixed. Muy importante, like an elefante in your living room. It's muy importante, like an elefante. Alright. Almost there. We're on number 11. Alright. So, there we go. Yo. Number 12. Alright. Bringing this is a short one. This is the small one. Doesn't even deserve 4 images. This one doesn't even deserve 4 images. It's too small. That's okay. It can keep the 4 images. That'll make it more active. People will like that song because it's got a lot of movement happening. 4 images in a short song. Okay. And this one ends off on a long one. That makes sense. You should end off the album with a long song. That's how you have to end things off. So people are like tired. They think the thing's over, concert's over. But no, the last song goes on forever. Encore. The encore lasts till like 5 in the morning. Okay. So then once we have that, then I go back to the beginning here. And let's attach this back so I could see the top bit. And okay. So now I'm just going to go through here, make this relatively large, so I could see some distance. And then I don't really need these markers anymore. And then I can just go up here and go boom. And then I animate. So I usually go back and forward. So I'm going to animate. Now notice it's out of tilt right here because the first thing I added wasn't in normal size. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to right click and project settings because I want it in YouTube size. And that's going to be 1920 by 18 or 1020, 1920, 1020. So we'll do that. And that should do it. So now I'm going to zoom in. So this is what I mean. I'm going to zoom basically really far in most of the time. Right? So it's pretty far in. So that it get, wait a sec, hold on a second. Before I zoom in, I have to add the animation. Now the coolest animation, I think, is this custom animation. Again, most softwares will probably have this, But the custom animation is going to allow you a lot more flexibility. So I'm going to put this all the way to the end of the image and go to this end as far as I can go, and then zoom in pretty drastically. That's just my standard animation. It's the most generic animation, but it works quite well. You could zoom in and out multiple times and zoom around the image, right? But that's pretty, and then the second one, I'm just gonna basically do the opposite. I'm gonna add the animation. I'm gonna drag it all the way over here, and then I'm gonna go back to the first bit. I'm gonna drag it to the bit, and I'm gonna start the other way. And I'm just gonna basically go back and forth between those two ways. So if I was to watch this, right, the first song is gonna zoom in, and the last song is gonna start zoomed in, the next song, and then zoom back out. And so you could get more detail than that, but I think this zooming function is the best to use. Like, because I could zoom like in and then pull the image around if there wasn't just like two people, if it was like a map or something, or if I want to focus on her face and then his face and then her face because they're mad at each other or they're talking to each other, or I think in this one he's gonna abduct her or something, because not that that's part of the story, you know, like it's like because that's the king of Agam. I don't know. So, but I'm just gonna do the generic one because I'm trying to do this fairly quickly. So I'm gonna go boom, zoom all the way into the angry face. Arrgh. And then I'm gonna do this one, and then I can drag this all the way out and then to here. Go to the first bit, and this one, again, I'm going to start with it zoomed in. The arrows are falling from heaven. So I'm going to show like just the doom look first. And then I go from the next one, I go from here to here, and then I zoom in to this side. And she's looking sad or something. And then this one, I'm going to start on this end and then back on over here. And now like he's talking to somebody or something, like a prophet is talking. I don't know. And then I'm going this way. And now he's praying to Apollo for vengeance or to return the girl. Give me the girl back, you jerk. And then the god is pissed. He's like, dude, I ain't having this. And then, like, now he's praying again because the story's starting over. And let's do the last one over here, and then I'll stop, and then I'll do the rest on my own. Oh, wait. But let's just watch the Apollo one, because that one's funny. When Helena's yelling at Apollo. Here it is. So now it's like, Helena's like, why are you listening to that crazy lady? We need to I want the Greeks to beat up the Trojans, and now you tell Achilles to get in there and stop being a baby. And Apollo's like, oh, dude, this isn't good. I hate when she's getting all angry like that. And then like, but she's still pissed. She's like, you want none of this. And then like, Apollo's like, oh man. Or like, this is Zeus. This isn't Apollo. This is Zeus. He's like, ah. Anyway. So then I can add, I can mess with the sound down here. And I like to compress the sound. Well, maybe not. I think I shouldn't need to do that. I'm going to undo that. We'll just keep it as is. So I'll complete this out. And then, of course, once I'm done with that, that's basically it. Then I can export it. I can export it out after that and have my one file. And then, of course, I could also export each individual. So maybe I'll look at that next time. each song, right? So now I can go from tier to tier, which would be each song, and export them individually, like from here. So if I add my markers back in, here's the second song from here to here, and I can export that. And then I can go from here to here and export that all from the same file, right? So then I can make my playlist, export just the timeline. That's how you do that. All right, that's the process. That's what we got thus far. I'll finish it off, and then I'll share to upload it to YouTube maybe.